everyone, and welcome back to Master Sight. Today I'll have Game 3 of Lone Wolf, which will be against Nathan Arnold and his Free Dwarves, which was an army that was made for him for the event. I think he was traveling and wasn't able to bring his own army, so one was provided for him, and he said, go ahead and write the list for me while you're at it. So I believe the army was actually supplied by Hank Gouge. It's his old hot tub dwarves. Yeah, so he has a pretty interesting list and one that he didn't even make himself. So I think he might have gotten one practice game before the event, but he must be doing fairly well. We're sitting around 26 points at this point. So he must have, a big win and a loss or a couple of close wins, kind of like us. So, um, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at his list and then we'll get to the game. So, in his free dwarves, he took two regiments of rangers. One of them upgraded to the Herneas handpicked rangers, which I believe just gives them elite. If I'm not mistaken, everything else I think stays the same. Crossbows, strength, pathfinder, scout, order march, elite. Oh, elite and stealthy. All right. Yeah, so for 15 points, that's not too bad. If it was just elite, that's kind of a slight discount off of what you could get just from a magic item. So, Horde of Earth Elementals, he has a troop of free dwarf Brox and a regiment of Brox. Not sure why the healing brew is on this dwarf troop or the Brock troop, but whatever. I don't think it ever came up. So he has a greater earth elemental upgraded to Kragoth and Kolarm, so that way he inspires himself, and he gets the scout as well at the beginning of the game. Oh, also he gets Fireball 10 with that upgrade. A free dwarf stone priest with the stone shaper ability, which allows him to cast surge and then immediately cast Bane Chant on the same unit. So that's nice. A free dwarf packmaster with the mastiff munchberries. So he gets a mini homing mastiff that he could throw every turn. But the other thing is he gains Aura Vicious range, throwing mastiff, and homing mastiff ranged attacks only. So we'll see with the formation he has later. He has a bunch of throwing mastiffs, and they're all going to gain vicious as well. So I like the idea of the Packmaster, but for his points, it's it's a it's a big investment for those one-time throwing, and obviously his is more than once, but yeah, it's an interesting pick and one that I've always liked the idea of, but never actually seen on the table. So, Berserker Brocklord mounted with Blade of the Beast Slayer, as you do. So yeah, he's a good one. We have Bannock Colarm. He's Bane Chant 2, Fireball 10, pretty decent combatter as well. And then he has the formation, which is 3 regiments of shield breakers, excuse me, with the throwing mastiff upgrade. So these guys gained crushing 2 in the last Clash of Kings update. The formation gives them extra brutal. They gain scout and possibly pathfinder as well. Maybe it's wild charge 1. They gain a good amount of stuff from it, but the big thing is they're also nimble with order march. So these guys can be running. Speed 4 looks a lot better when you're running 8 inches and you get 2 pivots with order march and nimble. So. And with the Pathfinder, they can go through the trees and stuff. I actually rate this formation pretty highly. The only downside is it comes with a free Dwarf Lord that I can't remember if they're prevented from taking magic items, but a Dwarf Lord without wings seems like a worthless Dwarf Lord in my book. So, but yeah, he's in the list. So, 14 drops, 22 unit strength. Yeah. So Pretty unique, different lists, but honestly, I rate Free Dwarves pretty high right now. I think they have a lot of good stuff going for them, and you just don't see them too often. So I think some people can get caught off guard by really what they do and how good they actually are. So. But yeah, so let's go into the game. The scenario we had for this game is the poisoned well. So it's not a scenario straight out of the book that's been adjusted. It's similar to a lot of different ones, but effectively there's going to be three stationary tokens placed exactly as they look on this map here. So in the center of each, like control zone, if you were to split it evenly across the board. And this is another progressive scoring scenario. So one of them gets a negative effect. We'll come back to that in just a moment. But the progressive scoring is you get +2 points for each well you control, starting on beginning of turn 3. And then at the end of the game, you only get +1 point for the well that you control. So this is the opposite of the last one, where there's only 3 objectives, but you get more points by controlling them each turn versus waiting to the last turn to jump on them. So the game plan we did last game with the pillage scenario against Tom, we have to switch it up and have a different game plan here against Nathan. We're not going to be able to wait and try and roll a flank slowly. We're going to have to definitely go out there, get on these tokens, and use our superior unit strength that we have to control them for as long as possible. On top of all that, there is a well that eventually becomes poisoned. So each player chooses one of the 3 wells, and that's the one that will effectively hurt your opponent. But it only does so starting on turn 5 and going forward. So it hurts them in 2 different ways. One, this line here, so they're at -1 range, melee, and then the second thing is the progressive scoring side of it. You only score 1 point for the poison well instead of 2 points. Your own units are unaffected by the poison well unless your opponent chose the same well for that. So it's a scenario that has been in that pack for Lone Wolf for a while. I remember playing it a couple years ago. I think it's a fairly decent scenario. And yeah, it's fun to get some progressive scoring ones out there, and especially this being different progressive scoring than the last one, where your progressive scoring is actually worth more than the end total score. It's a nice adjustment, nice change. I think Mark does a really good job on these scenarios. So yeah, end of turn, that progressive or poison well scores 0. So you can only actually score 2 points at the end of the game because one of those 3 is going to be poisoned. And I should say, to clarify as well, to determine these victory conditions for progressive scoring, a well doesn't become poisoned until turn 5. So turns 3 and 4, it's 2 points per well. And then turn 5, the poison well is only 1, and the rest of them are worth 2. So, and then there is the bonuses at the end. So we get +3 for controlling more wells in any single given turn than your opponent did. So an example would be if you captured 3 in one turn, but your opponent has only ever managed to hold 2 of them in one of their turns, you would get the bonus. So, and then +2 points for having more unit strength on the well that your opponent poisoned than the well that you had poisoned for them. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Hopefully that makes sense. Essentially, we want to get on these tokens and hold them for as long as we can throughout the game because they're worth more earlier in the game than they are later in the game. And there's Nathan Arnold. First time we get to play. This is actually funny coincidence, but Nathan actually just recently moved to Colorado, which is a part of the mountain region. So Welcome to the mountain region, Nathan. I told you you should sign up as an Outlander, and then we wouldn't have had to play, but here we are. So this is deployment, and Nathan's army has a lot of scouts, so he went ahead and did that. So a little closer look. Nathan here, the two units on the hill are the Rangers. I believe the one on the left is the Herneus Rangers, the elite and stealthy ones. He has two of the shield breakers from the regiments flanking, and then one of them behind. His king that scouts is also behind this unit off the hill. This is his ranger back here. He has his hordes of earth elementals and the special greater elemental. Bannock is out here with the troop of Brocks, regiment of Brocks, and then the Beast Slayer Brock Lord. So, yeah. And then my line, I went ahead and put mummies out on the far left. I have my wolf out here turned sideways because individual pivots get you a little extra room. The what's it called, Rev Champion for inspiring mostly out here. Horde of skeletons. This is the J boot. No, this is the brutal one. Scavs. Went with the double stack this time with the third on the side. So Shobik, Soul Snare, Sebik Ray. Troop of mummies there. Then I got bone giants. I have my monolith over here, inspiring on this half, with double skeleton spears because hey, he has cavalry out here, and we want to use our spears on cavalry. With the, I guess this is the brutal unit, so I don't know. They're kind of open either way, but yeah, this is the brutal unit. So, and then we have the scabs, last scabs over here. So, we roll off for first turn, and I win it. And I look, and I asked Nathan, I was like, "Hey, did you give me any first turn charges?" And he's like, "Nah, I shouldn't have." And I look, and I'm like, "Well, I got a wolf over here, and I'm measuring, and it's within 16 inches of both of these two left regiments out here." And he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, you can take that." So I did. Looked at each other, and I think the memo of the game, basically, when we were talking about it, is we just looked at each other. We're like, "Fuck it, let's go." Um, so I think we were both there to just have some fun at this point. So I ran forward with everything, as fast as running can be with EoD. And we charged and we said, fuck it. And we popped Cloak of Death for our legendary feat this turn, which hits, these three regiments in the front, the one in the back, and the Lord back there as well. Shooting wise, we surged a little bit. You can see just slight movement up over here. We surged a little bit, but we also shot a little bit. I think we put like 4 wounds from the Soul Snare into the Rangers. They already had 1, so that was 5. I think the Wolf did like 5, and then we have Brutal or Dread. We picked up Herneus's Rangers top of turn 1 like a champion. The Wolf sits there victorious. Yeah, so the wolf backed up just a little bit, only 1 inch, and we said, hey, we got first blood here, and we are, feeling confident about this left token, and we want to push forward to, get this center token as well. Hopefully, we're able to either block him out of it, or if he pushes forward more, we'll be able to punish and hit him hard here, so this is what it looks like going into bottom of 1 for Nathan. And he just replaces that regiment with a nimble dwarf stuff thingy. I don't know. They're shield breakers. Shield breakers. That's what they are. But he doesn't adjust his line. He instead decides to try and shoot. So he does bring the king in here with the charge. He nimbled around up here and got up onto the hill with this regiment. So what he's going to do is he's going to unload into my mummies on the left-hand flank here. And he moves forward into the woods just to look scary out here. And yeah, he decided it's better against going forward to try and fireball when I have a bone giant coming off the hill here. You know, that extra thunderous makes bone giants a little bit more confident. So his shooting, he did 9 wounds between his double uh, pack hunter, or what are they called? The mastiffs that shot. They were vicious because he does have his pack hunter guy sitting behind here as well. I forgot to mention that. And then his ranger unit here shot at him. He also had the character, the ranger, and he popped shattering 2 this turn. So he, 9 wounds with shatter 2, effectively an 11. He needed a 7 twice, and he got it once, and then he rolled again, and he rolled a 4 and a 2 for 6. So he failed, and he said, fuck it, and he used his tournament reroll, and his lone wolf reroll dice ended up another 2. So he failed to kill the mummies, um, I talked to him about it a little bit. His mentality was, there's no way I'm killing these mummies except for with that volley of fire. He's like, there's just no support I have coming over here, and if I have any hopes of killing them, it's this turn and only this turn. So with that thought in mind, I'm like, yeah, that good call, do it. But unfortunately, he was that close and fell short. So mummies, they're gonna regen, they're gonna get healed, they're gonna do their thing. So this is what it looks like for top of 2, and we say fuck it, and we go in with everything because we already killed a regiment. Let's just get in there with as much as we can. So that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, his what's it called? Let's get a closer look here. But I his lord, so his king, just like, I feel for Nathan here. His king comes into my lone wolf, does no wounds. So it's not like he was going to kill him, but every wound sticks on the lone wolf. So you want to, get what you can when you can, and then you would strip his thunderous, so at least he's not, wounding on 2s with vicious in this situation. So it's painful just, just even think about it and see it. But I charged the unit along with this horde, was able to get into the unit as well. So we're just ignoring the king that's sitting in front of the unit here. And yeah, we just said fuck it. We went in, regens pretty decently. Sebek's in position to get a heal off. Soul Snare's going to shoot into one of those, I think this unit here. Or maybe even that regiment, because it's barely touching the hill too. I got a couple of options. So our goal is to, try to pick up another regiment this turn, try to heal up our regiment to full, and go from there. Over here, Shobik went into this regiment, so these rangers are not engaged right now, but they're being blocked off effectively by the horde, obviously. And then scabs from the right hand side could see the Titan, so we charged out over to try and block off flanks into Shobik. Yeah, I think you guys can clearly see what's going to happen here. I definitely charged in here with the understanding that this is an exposed flank. I'm not able to prevent that, but my thought was I want to keep Shobik alive, so I went in here with the bone giant, knowing that it's not the best idea, but we just said fuck it. Our drain life went into this regiment, and then oh look, we killed them again. I think we got lucky here. They were on 1 wound from the Cloak of Death before. We do have Dread here. We might have gotten another 2 or 3 wounds from Drain Life, and then Mummies, did Spiked Roll, and as you can see, they have no wounds on them anymore. So we have effectively turned the flank already, which is great for us. Oh, look, we picked up another regiment. It's just, everything that can go well for us up to this point has. So, very lucky to have gotten all 3 of the units we did so far. And then we're just, stuck in combat for the rest of them, which is perfectly fine. So this is bottom of 2, and Nathan says, and gotta kill a bone giant. So he does some movement shenaniganry. So let's get a little closer. So he ends up, what he does is he withdraws with this unit, putting them in the front of the skeletons at that point. They're currently in the flank, so he had to do the withdraw, and then he double charged the horde of skeletons. The positioning with the now that yeah, looking back at it, I think Nathan could have done this better, but so he purposely, for some reason, wanted. I think it's because the mummy's position. He's out of front arc. The mummy's out of front arc of the mummies, so he didn't want to get flanked there. But you'll notice that he came into the flank of the bone giant and he had backed up his horde. He could have easily done all this, and without forcing him to hang over this way, he could have kept this pack Munchberry guy out of the way so that his double charge into these guys would allow for him to actually slide over. Because right now, the issue with and why this unit backed out is because it had no room to slide. It was hitting his own unit. So he decided backing out and taking the flank was the better choice. But I think he could have double charged the horde here, forcing the slide over with this guy going away. And then he could, get a front and a flank, making this attack on the bone giant a much more reliable kill at that point. So, Nathan, if you're watching, I didn't see it at the time, but I do see, that now. I think that might have been a better, more consistent play overall. So, and then he just kind of holds the line, the status quo over here. He moves up to shoot a fireball at these guys with Bannock here. And yeah, we're happy to look at 2 tokens, the left one and the middle one, which will start scoring on next turn because it seems like the game's already, halfway over, but it is only turn 2. So luckily for Nathan, that play we just talked about, it didn't actually matter. He did pick up the bone giant with his grader. His grader just rolled out of the box. 12 attacks, a 24 in the flank. I think he had like 19 hits or something like that, and wounding on 2. So it was like, oh damn. I knew it was a high risk chance that he was going to die anyway the turn he went in. But that was some murder for sure. All to save Shobik. You gotta save the god. So, but everything else sticks as we kind of expected. So, my turn. It's just a cluster over here, but my turn scoring. I had 2 tokens on my turn, so I score 4 points at the beginning of turn 3, which is when we start keeping track of the progressive scoring. So you'll see a cluster over here. So I charged the Lord. And Nathan was questioning. He's probably right. Like the mummies could have easily charged the regiment over here, and gotten a surge flank or something like that. But I just really wanted this Lord dead this turn. Don't really know my reasoning for it at the time. It's not like he was, giving me too many troubles. He's only speed 4, so he can only charge 8. He can't even charge this guy here. But anyway, I decided I'm going to kill him this turn. I took the mummies and the guardians into him. I charged off the hill with the Rev Champ to shut down the shooting guy, the ranger over here. And yeah, and then we charged back into the Rangers, and Shobik charged the Dwarves there. I took the Mummy Troop into the Greater and the flank. Yeah. And then we just held the line over here, basically. So that way, yeah, nothing too crazy. The thought is we'll go push over after this token, but not yet. Similar to last game, we gotta wait for the side we're pushing and winning on to develop before then pushing our advantage later. We can't overextend by pushing ourselves out there too early. So maybe two more turns. We'll see here, but yeah, so we do get a kill on the other two regiments here. We kill the Lord, sidestep to reform. All of that stuff works out. The big thing, though, that I didn't do in the appropriate order is I did the Shobik combat first, which Shobik is it's hard to see with the hill, but Shobik's right up adjacent to the skeletons here. So Shobik only had the option of pivoting 90 degrees, backing up, running forward, all those things. Looking at it now, backing up probably was the best choice. I decided to run forward, but I should have done the Rangers unit first and then do this reform that I have here so that Shobik could have easily just reformed and faced directly towards these Earth Elementals. I ran forward, and it's not even too that far, but I ran forward in such a way that it's just a flank for him to charge me. He doesn't even have to surge. It's just a flank with the horde, which mathematically I'm not too worried about. He should have 18 hits on average. He does have a Bane Chant here, so even with a Bane Chant, that's 9 wounds. With Brutal, it's an 8 twice, but it's something I shouldn't even be allowing an option for. So misplay on my part for sure. But again, it was definitely we were in the mindset of just fuck it at this point. Um, Obviously, taking out 5 regiments by turn 3 as Empire Dust is well well above the curve. I would say well ahead of schedule. Um, but yeah, we are in a good spot here, and so I think I just mentally slacked off with some of those things, and this is a mistake that I should not have had allowed. So yeah, so this is what it looks like for the top of turn or bottom of turn 3. Nathan obviously has 1 token, so he has 2 points to my 4. So we're every turn we're going ahead by 2 points at this point. He takes the obvious flank. He comes back into the mummies. He takes his troop over, flanking the mummies, which is a good play for sure. Not something I actually thought. I didn't see it. I didn't think I was in front arc at the time that I brought the mummies in. Otherwise, I probably still would have brought the mummies in, but I might have tried to position some other things differently. So, yeah, and then he's just shooting at stuff over here. So he kills Shobik. Like I said, 8 twice on averages, and he got it. So no one to blame but myself for that one. It was just a bad choice, bad decision on my side. So yeah, this is not as comfortable of a spot as we would hope for at this point. The only thing I have going for me is that I did move my monolith in such a way that it's within range of this token, so we are still in control of that token. But yeah, so this is what it looks like for top of 4. I have 2 tokens again. And we go engaging like this. So I stay within range of this token. Oh yeah, he wavered my lone wolf with the munchberry guy last turn. which you can see I only have 4 wounds on me, which is a lot less than I probably should have, but he did get a good waiver on him. And I've been just trying to punch him and shut him down over here with the Ranger. So yeah, anyway, charges over here. I did start a positioning a little bit differently, thinking these Guardians might be needed in the center of the board potentially. But I'm also in a position now up on the hill where I have angle and I am just within 12 inches of this cab unit out here. So I can start pushing that way this next turn if, things do go well in the center for me. So I do get a surge off the hill into the troop of Brox. I ended up what's it called, killing the horde. It had already, or it still had damage from when the bone giant went in. I think I did like 5 or 6 wounds that turn. So yeah, guardians and skeletons did their jobs there, and we ran forward in position like this. I believe the grader's facing me this way, so I actually have a rear charge with birds. I've been chipping away 1 wound a turn with my scavengers on this big guy. So you know what? You give us about 15 turns and it might die. Um, yeah, but I did like little nothing against the berserker troop, even with a flank and a front. It looks like it's 2 wounds with the between the spears and whatnot. So not as good as we'd hoped, but this is what it is for Nathan's turn. He again obviously has the token over here. So it is, I believe, 8-4 now at the bottom of 4 for progressive scoring. So he's moving around, shooting at my carrot wolf again. He countercharged the birds over here. He countercharged the birds there. He's just trying to pick up some unit strength. Yeah. And he charged into the skeleton spearman with the berserker lord. I did move my spearman up in range of this unit as well this turn, thinking that, well, I can get on that token to potentially deny him points for me being there. So I started, moving that way because of the center was starting to go my way as well. So, but yeah, on his turn, he kills the birds. He does not do a single wound to Skeleton Spearman. I think he had 1 hit and he failed to wound, and that is ungodly bad luck for him. I feel for Nathan so bad. Both of his individuals have just done dick all. And he didn't move his cav this turn. And guess what? Brock Lords, for some reason, are not mighty. So what do? We just charge right past him because we didn't take a wound. You're not mighty. And so we double charge the Regiment of Brocks way over here. And yeah, what the hell? So that was crazy. But yeah, and then Nathan did have a good positioning over here. He countercharged the birds, but he moved his individual in such a way that my skeleton horde couldn't fit between the Brock troop that was here. So I couldn't fit into his big guy, so I had to charge the Brock troop. That's why it's kind of a weird position over here. But yeah, I double charged this. I ran forward the monoliths to provide some inspiring to them. And we're just obviously holding the center still and holding this one still. It's all good. So this was turn 5. Again, I score. Oh, this is when we introduced the poison well portion of it. The left token was the one that he chose to poison, and I, as you can maybe determine from the initial picture, I circled the center one several times. That was the one I poisoned. So, yeah. So my charge in doesn't go as well as I had hoped. I fail to break the Brocks, which um, I don't know. I don't know if breaking them was really a possibility. They are pretty high nerve, but I only did like 6 wounds to him, which was seemed a little low. But anyway, so Nathan's turn. Our individuals just keep fighting over here, but it really doesn't matter at all. So I'm not really talking about it. Sorry. But anyway, he countercharges the Brox into the Guardians. He brings the Lord in, all the good stuff. He definitely puts a beating on him. So that happens, and then I believe he kills the birds. He turns around here, so he's in this type of a position at this point. So, um, yeah, that is where I stopped taking pictures, but there was one more turn. So turn 6, I obviously on Nathan's bottom of 5, he did not control this token, so he is still only at 4 points. So I'm at, what was it, 12 or no, 11 at this point, and he's at 4. So turn 6, I am contesting this one, but I have the middle and the poison one as well. So that's another 3 points. So I think it's 14-4. So I'm up by 10 at this point. And what I ended up doing was I charged the flank with scavengers. I charged in with skeletons. I got a drain life over there, I believe, as well. Or maybe I drain life the big guy. Anyway, turn 6, I ended up picking up the units. Or no, maybe I didn't pick up this unit, but I believe I killed the what's called the greater at this point, because guardians over here were, I was able to back up with my horde here and get the guardians in. So I was able to get some kills, but really the kills didn't matter at that point. So yeah, in the end, I had scored, I guess it was 17 total points throughout the scenarios. So 14, I think we went a turn 7. Yeah, so I think we did have a turn 7, which is why I ended up scoring 17. And then so to his 4, and with the bonuses, I got the +3 because I held 2 wells at any point. He only ever held 1. And I got +2 because I had more unit strength on the poison well than he did. So 22-4. It was 1 point shy of a max win, so it was a 19-1 victory for me over Nathan. So all in all, I think it was just a good matchup for me in general. I don't really, the shooting he has isn't terribly overwhelming. But then I also just got an amazing start against him, so it was really an uphill battle. And when my dice got hot early, it was kind of the writing was on the wall at that point, kind of. So, yeah, and I think Nathan, played the army well for it being a brand new one to him, but this was just a scenario me getting first turn and the initial punch charge off that I did really set the tone for the game. So I felt like at no point in the game was I really ever struggling, even though I practically threw away my Bone Giant and Shobik unnecessarily with Shobik. I think the Bone Giant I still think was a perfectly fine trade and positioning wise, but the Shobik was not a good choice by any means. So, but yeah, I'm glad that Nathan and I got to play those first time he and I played, and he was a lot of fun to play, and I think we both had a good time, even with the large discrepancy when it came to the results of that game. So, really appreciated playing you, Nathan, and look forward to the next time. So right now for the event, we are sitting at, I believe we were at 26 before, so we're sitting at 19, so we're at 45 points. out of the possible 60 for day one. So that puts us in the top, I believe it's like top 6 or 7 players currently, with the top player being at 57 battle points, though only dropped 3 battle points over 3 games. Is pretty impressive. So we are, good margin behind them if we want to make a run for the top battle spot. We definitely need a big win for game 4 and a solid win on game 5 as well. So that is our goal. But Saturday night we had a lot of fun. Stayed up way too late, so I'm playing some Del Moody and hanging out with the UK guys and everybody. So, but I would, if I had to do it over again, I definitely choose to do that still. So. But yeah, that's all for game 3. We'll come back with game 4 and game 5 after. Appreciate you all for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.